Hello my dear jewelry lovers. We have already talked a lot about princesses and queens' tiaras, but we have not delved into the tiaras created for the elites not related to the monarchy. Today I will tell you the stories behind the creation of some very unusual tiaras. Sit back and make yourselves comfortable as we begin. Most people associate tiaras with luxury items. In fact, the jewelry borrowed its name from a Persian headdress in the form of a high hat. Today it is almost not remembered because tiaras, as a type of head jewelry, are worn mainly by representatives of royal families, and they are made of precious metals with a scattering of diamonds, emeralds, rubies and other very expensive stones, and among them there are truly unusual specimens. Beach tiara. This is actually a unique piece of jewelry, the analogues of which will be very difficult to find. It is worn by Serena Armstrong-Jones, wife of David Armstrong-Jones, 2nd Earl of Snowdon, and nephew of Queen Elizabeth II. It was his workshop, David Linley Furniture, that was responsible for the production of such an unusual piece. The whole point is that it is made entirely of beechwood. Outwardly, it partly resembles a bunch of thin leaves, each of which has become a real work of art. Nature's Glow. This tiara, called Nature's Glow, can be rightfully called a masterpiece of jewelry art. It was released to mark the 85th anniversary of cooperation between two giants of industry, the Australian concern Rio Tinto and the Chinese conglomerate Chow Tai Fook. Based in Hong Kong, inspired by the breathtaking beauty of the Australian landscape, the tiara is designed to show the world the respect between the two equally important companies. The tiara is set with white diamonds and exquisite champagne-colored diamonds. Waterfowl Prince Romanov presented this incredibly beautiful and unusual tiara to his wife Maria Feodorovna on the occasion of their silver wedding. The French jeweler Joseph Chomit seems to have been inspired by the beauty of real waterfalls, which is why the tiara was named Waterfall. It actually resembles the splashes of clear water flying in different directions. It is adorned with diamonds of different shapes and sizes, set in such a way as to refract light at different angles and create the illusion of water drops. Queen of Kilimanjaro tiara is named after its center stone, a 242-carat tanzanite. In general, this gemstone appeared not so long ago, but already successfully competes with the big four, diamonds, rubies, emeralds and sapphires. Due to its rapidly increasing price, the stone got its name solely due to the fact that its only deposit, Marilani, is located in Tanzania, in the state of Arusha. It is not known which jeweler made the Queen of Tanzania tiara, but its only owner is the first director of Apple, Michael Scott. The tiara actually resembles an exotic snake in its appearance and shape, and the shining tanzanite surrounded by a scattering of diamonds and savorites only enhances the impression. Midnight. This tiara is worn by Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, but it is not her property. At one time, the Crown Princess was invited to an exhibition of the jewelry house Ole Lingard, held in the Royal Palace of Amalienborg. It was there that this unusual tiara, created by the firm's creative director Charlotte Lingard, was presented. The precious wreath consists of leaves made of silver and white and rose gold. 31 berries are woven into the leaves, some of which are studded with small diamonds that create a frost effect, while another part is made of moonstone. Crown Princess Mary of Denmark fell in love with the jewelry at first sight, but the company had no intention of selling it. As a result, a contract was concluded, according to which the jewelry house gave the tiara on long-term lease to the royal family. It even has its own name, Midnight. Hello Kitty. This tiara was not offered for sale, but was created especially for the presentation of jewelry produced for the 40th anniversary of the creation of the Kitty White toy. The author of it in 1974 became the designer of the Japanese toy company Sanrio Yuko Shimizu, and 2 years later the Hello Kitty trademark was registered. In 2014, Mikimoto and Sanrio teamed up to launch a collection of themed jewelry, including a necklace, earrings, choker, bracelet and hair clip with the image of Kitty's face or her bow. The tiara was meant to symbolize the cooperation between two companies, Mikimoto jewelry brand, and Hello Kitty. It is an openwork decoration of flowers, berries and leaves, studded with a scattering of precious stones, and in the center, there is a diamond kitty with a red bow. Golden poppies tiara is part of a pearl and was created in 1976 by Erik Rigster, who was commissioned by Queen Margaret II of Denmark. The jewelry is a composition of 8 poppies, the finest petals of which are made of pure chased gold. Inside each flower, there are small stamens, thin gold bent wires with pearls at the ends. The golden petals and leaves of the poppies are decorated with dewdrops made of aquamarines, opals and moonstones. The scallop to which the poppies are attached has leaves made of golden, transparent and milky amber. And on one of the poppies, you can even see a tiny golden spider. The tiara is complemented by massive earrings and a necklace. However, Queen Margaret II does not wear both the tiara and the full tiara, very often Reine Lalique tiara with dragonflies. In 1900, the famous master enameller René Lalique created a unique tiara with dragonflies. The long-winged insects are covered with bright jeweled enamel and face the centerpiece of the jewelry, a luxurious aquamarine. However, the Lalique tiara has another feature. The dragonflies can be removed and fixed together into a single piece that turns out to be a brooch. Swallow Flight Tiara by Boucheron. After 7 years, the Boucheron jewelry house has created the Swallow Flight Tiara. In fact, the jewel is 4 bird wings studded with diamonds and connected in the center round one round diamond. Cartier Valkyria Tiara. Another winged tiara was created by Cartier in 1935. Encrusted with 2,500 diamonds, the jewel was named Valkyria. It was inspired by the winged helmets of the heroines of Wagner's opera cycle The Ring of the Nibelung. Dolphin's Tiara. Joseph Chometh, famous jeweler, has created another extraordinary tiara bearing the name Dolphins. The upper part of the jewelry is several arcs with diamond drops flowing from them. At the bottom right in the center is a huge pearl, which is held by 2 dolphins on the sides. Nature's Glow Tiara by Rio Tinto and Chow Tai Fook. Last but not least on our list, the luxurious Rio Tinto and Chow Tai Fook Tiara, released in 2014 for the Chinese jeweler's 85th anniversary, is designed to show respect for the partnership between the 2 world-renowned brands. The design of the jewelry is inspired by the breathtaking beauty of Australia's landscapes. The jewelry has been named Nature's Glow.
Let's begin with the fascinating story of the Westminster Tiara Halo. This fabulous crown of the Duchess of Westminster is irresistible and rich in the events of its history. The huge gems that adorn this tiara have been in the hands of many celebrities. There is a belief that each of these stones holds fateful moments in people's lives, their emotions, the energy of love or hate. I, at least, tend to believe this. And the ancient stones, brought from India itself, are like guardians of ancient legends. Look at this luxurious tiara halo. Doesn't it look more like a Russian kokoshnik than the headdresses of noble Chinese women, as the jewelers suggested? However, in Great Britain insisted that this tiara has a resemblance to Chinese crowns. But the owners of the Westminster Tiara, as they say, know better. According to legend, the central diamond element of the jewelry is linked to scandalous events of the past. The brilliant facets of huge diamonds are as dazzling as ice shards in the Snow Queen's domain. The history of this diamond began long before our days, back in 1786, when the Indian ruler Asaf Jah II decided to impress the English King George III with an incredible gift, the purest diamond weighing 101 carats. It was truly a royal offering. The generous ruler asked the Governor-General of India, Warren Hastings, to give this brilliant stone to George III himself. At the time, Hastings was not particularly reputable in England and was awaiting trial. And unfortunately, he handed the monarch an Indian diamond without proper mention of its true source. Naturally, this raised suspicions that the Governor-General was trying to bribe the monarch to avoid justice. Thus began the real scandal. The largest diamonds to the left and right of the center stone, which attracted attention with its beauty, were part of the collection of the British monarch's wife, Queen Charlotte. A nabob from the Indian Principality of Arcot decided to honor Her Majesty with unique gifts, and so these diamonds were named Arcot. After the death of the royal couple, the gems ended up in the arsenal of the court jewelry company Rundell and Bridge. However, in 1843, this jewelry house ceased its activities and announced the sale of its precious property. At the same time, the first Marquis of Westminster, in search of a gift in honor of the birthday of his beloved wife, discovered amazing jewels, the beauty of which surpassed all his previous impressions. The Hastings diamond and the famous Arcots had mesmerized the mind and eye of this high-ranking gentleman. He generously gave £10,000 for these royal beauties. Over the years, these diamond masterpieces never left the Grosvenor family. However, the story of the tiara itself began much later, in 1930, when the Duke of Westminster decided to give diamonds a new purpose. He ordered jewelers to create a unique crown for his beautiful wife, Duchess Loelia. The tiara was meant to be associated with China, but Slavic motifs can also be seen in it. This diamond crown, reminiscent of a royal crown in its luxury and beauty, included not only 3 historic diamonds, but also a crystal scattering of 1,400 smaller stones. As light fell on the smooth facets of these marvelous drops, a fiery halo seemed to light up around the head of the ravishing woman. It should also be noted that the Duke of Westminster was a man of abundant heart. He gave the tiara to his 3rd wife, but his 4th wife, Duchess Anne, was the one who brought this unique tiara to life. She even adorned herself with it at the wedding of Elizabeth II in 1953. Modest but exquisite earrings, brooch and diamond necklace, together with the Westminster tiara, made a magnificent piece of jewelry. In 1959, Duke William Grosvenor ran into financial problems as he was unable to pay the inheritance taxes on the family legacy, which included the tiara halo. He had to put the jewelry up for auction. Despite the fact that there were many who wanted to buy this crown, jeweler Harry Winston, known for his wealth, won the race for this rare diamond composition. The amount he paid exceeded all expectations, £110,000. However, the crown itself did not remain unchanged. The 3 largest diamonds were taken out of the tiara and reshaped and sold separately. And where do we find the Arcot first diamond? It became the pendant for a magnificent necklace by Van Cleef and Arpels. However, the story of the tiara was not yet over. Winston decided to replace the diamonds with sky blue turquoise. This crown was purchased by an American social activist and Chicago resident, Rose Movius Palmer. However, that was not the end of it. The tiara had been redesigned again. Turquoise was replaced by more modest diamonds. For more stones were added to the top, and the pattern in the center of the tiara was changed. This exquisite pattern, consisting of many sparkling sparks, gave the crown a new splendor and gave it a second life. Next on the list of amazing tiaras is the Connaught tiara, an exquisite diamond jewelry piece from the Royal Collection of Sweden. It is one of the most prominent treasures in the treasury of the Swedish royal family, and can often be seen on titled ladies. It is therefore incumbent upon us to review the history of this stunning piece of jewelry. The tiara arrived in Sweden with Princess Margaret of Connaught in 1905. Margaret was the niece of King Edward VII of England, and she and her sister were considered among the most attractive brides in Europe at the time. Therefore, it was not difficult to arrange favorable marriages for them. Margaret married Gustav Adolf, the future King of Sweden, at that time Duke of Skane. However, the main thing is that the young people were sincerely in love with each other, and their marriage was the result of pure feelings, not strategy. The tiara was a wedding gift for Marguerite from her parents. Perhaps that is why it has such a delicate and glowing warmth, as Margaret was happy on her wedding day in the chapel of Windsor Castle. After her wedding, she took the jewel to Sweden, and the tiara has never been left behind as it has been worn by women in every generation of the royal family. One famous portrait of Margaret of Connaught, taken shortly after the wedding, shows the princess wearing the Connaught tiara on her head, as well as another tiara, the Khedive tiara, which adorns the bodice of her dress. Although Margaret of Connaught did not wear this gorgeous tiara at her wedding reception, her example was followed by many other brides from the Bernadotte dynasty, such as Princess Christina in 1974. The Connaught tiara was especially worn by Princess Sibylla. The jewel became so associated with her that it was even given the name Sibylla's tiara. For example, it could be seen on the princess in 1948 at the Nobel Prize presentation. After Sibylla, the tiara passed to her son, King Carl XVI Gustav, and for many years it was actively worn by his wife, Sylvia Sommerlath. In 1976, she was pictured with it in her hair at a performance at the Royal Opera House on the eve of her wedding. Sylvia's daughters are also not averse to wearing the precious tiara. Madeleine wears it regularly, albeit as a necklace. The diamond drops are removable and can be used as pendants. But at the wedding of her sister, Princess Victoria, Madeleine wore a jewel in the form of a tiara. And the photo shows that such a move was probably not planned in advance. The base of the tiara was wrapped in black material, which was done for her dark-haired mother. Princess Victoria also doesn't mind appearing in public in a Connaught tiara. In 2015, she wore it at the wedding of her brother Prince Charles Philip and Princess Sophia. Princess Victoria wore the same tiara to attend the Nobel Prize in 2015.
And some other parts of the world also have royal treasures. And here are the most unusual and magnificent crowns of various monarchical dynasties, both current and defunct. The Danish crown jewels consist of 3 crowns, a scepter, an orb, a sword of state and an ampulla or flask. The sword is the oldest of these items, dating from 1551. The Danes used the terms Old Regalia and New Regalia to distinguish between jewellery that was used before the establishment of the absolute monarchy. In 1660, Norway's monarchical treasures include 9 items: the royal crown, the sword of the realm, the royal scepter, the royal orb, the queen's crown, the queen's scepter, the queen's orb, the crown of the crown prince, and the anointing horn. Coronation robes to kingdom banners and coronation thrones are also considered part of the set. The king's gold crown is set with an emerald, ruby, topaz, alexandrite and white opal. Bavarian crown jewels the crowns of the king and queen in 1806. When Napoleon reordered Europe, he granted the German Duchy of Bavaria the status of a kingdom. The new King Maximilian I of Bavaria ordered jewelry to be made for the new monarchs. To mark the occasion, the crown he commissioned was decorated with rubies, diamonds, emeralds, sapphires and pearls. Today, the crown jewels are on display in the treasury of the Residence Museum in Munich. The Prussian crown jewels consist of a set of crowns, scepters and orb. Prussia joined the German Empire in 1871, and most of the Prussian regalia is now on public display in the Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin. The design of the ruler's crown with diamonds and pearls was revised 1889 for Emperor Wilhelm II. The Austrian crown jewels include a collection of crowns, scepters, orbs, swords, rings, crosses, sacred relics and royal robes that have been used for coronation ceremonies over the centuries. They were first worn by the Holy Roman Emperor and later by the Austrian Emperor, using them both at coronations and other state occasions. More than 50 kings have worn Hungary's sacred crown, the country's official coronation crown. The complete crown jewels of Hungary consist of the crown of St. Stephen, dating from 1270 to 1272, a scepter, orb and mantle. Various alloys of gold and silver are used in the upper and lower half of the crown. The crown jewels of the Czech Republic include the crown of St. Wenceslas, the sword of St. Wenceslas, the royal orb, the scepter, the coronation vestments of Czech kings, and the gold reliquary cross. The 22-carat gold crown is decorated with 4 vertical heraldic lilies set with rubies, sapphires, emeralds and pearls. Skanderbeg's crown, which was used to crown the rulers of Albania, dates back to the 15th century, 1460 to be exact. Today, the jewel in the form of a helmet with a goat is in Vienna, and only a copy remains in Albania. The reason is that the crown was smuggled out of Albania after the occupation of the Ottoman Empire. The Habsburg family, descended from the Italian nobility, later took possession of this historical artifact of highly unusual shape. Serbia originally had 4 royal crowns, but only one, the crown of Karađorđević, has survived and is still in the country today. The crown jewels of Serbia consist of the crown of Karađorđević, orb, scepter, buckle and mantle. The crown, scepter and orb are decorated with precious stones and covered with enamel, in the national colours red, blue and white, while the royal mantle is made of purple velvet with gold embroidery and fur lining. This crown was designed in 1918 for the intended King of Finland, but the political situation changed before the crown could be used at the coronation ceremony of Finland's first independent monarch. By the end of 1918, the uncrowned ruler had abdicated. The jewel was never used for its intended purpose. The copy that exists today was made by jeweler Toivo Dupe in the 1990s from the original drawings and is kept in a museum in Kemi. The Iron Crown of the Kingdom of Lombardy is a unique relic that was used as the crown of the medieval Kingdom of Italy and also served for Napoleon Bonaparte in his coronation as King of Italy. The crown is made of a narrow strip of iron about a centimetre thick. It is claimed that the crown was made from the nails used in the crucifixion of Jesus, which explains the unusual choice of material behind the rich decoration. The surviving French crown jewels and major regalia, including a set of historic crowns, are mostly on display in the Apollo Gallery in the Louvre, France's main museum and former royal palace, but also scattered in various museums such as the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, the Basilica of Saint Denis, the Natural History Museum, the École des Mines or Reims. The crown of the Louis XV from these pictures dates back to 1722. Two crowns were ordered from England for the coronation of King Kalakaua of Hawaii in 1883. Kalakaua and his wife Kapiolani wore the jewels only once. Soon after, they were damaged by marauders during the overthrow of the government and later replaced with glass replicas, which today they can be seen in the Bishop Museum in Hawaii. The Korean crown jewels consist of several gold crowns, belts, necklaces, a sword, a dagger, gold shoes, earrings and more than 35 rings and studs. But the main place in the collection, of course, is occupied by an unusual crown made of gold and jade, which can be viewed from different angles for a long time. The crown jewels of the United Kingdom, considered one of the most exquisite in the world, included are crowns, scepters with cross or dove, orbits, swords, rings, spurs, colobium sindonis, dalmatic, armor and royal robes or veils, as well as a number of other items associated with ceremonial procedures. The imperial state crown, made for King George VI in 1937, is perhaps the most famous. The monarch's crown is set with 868 diamonds, 273 pearls, 17 sapphires, 11 emeralds and 5 rubies. Another crown in the set, known as the Queen Mother's crown, is set with a 105-carat Koh-i-Noor diamond, one of the largest in the world. There is also the St. Edward's crown, named after Edward the Confessor. It has been used to crown English rulers since the 13th century. The original version was destroyed, and the current St. Edward's crown was made for Charles II in 1661. Curiously, not all countries that have retained a monarchy also have crowns. For example, in the kingdoms that united into Spain in the 15-16 centuries, namely the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon, there were no successive coronation ceremonies, and since then monarchs have not been crowned, but proclaimed. Thus, the importance of the set of crown jewels was also diminished, and much of what had existed in the Regalia era was destroyed in the Great Fire of Madrid. On Christmas Eve 1734, in the 18th century, Charles III ordered a new crown and scepter to be made, which are now displayed during the opening of the local parliament. The crown and scepter are also present during the ceremonies of a new monarch's accession to the throne, but the crown itself is never placed on the monarch's head. These jewels are now kept in the Patrimonio Nacional. Which of the crowns do you remember the most? Write your co.